Welcome to Barcelona for the third act of the 2018 Extreme Sailing Series. This world-renowned Spanish city plays host to 7 teams from 7 nations as they push the boundaries of sailing to new levels in the Ultimate Stadium Racing Championship. This cosmopolitan capital of Spain's Catalonia is a major tourist destination. And 26 years on from hosting the Olympic Games, this prestigious sailing venue welcomes the Extreme Sailing Series for the second time. A favourite of elite sailors both on and off the water, this cultural and sporting hub promises to provide a great weekend for sailors, spectators and fans alike. As the fleet descends on Barcelona for Act 3, the world-class crews prepare for a mixed bag of conditions, from calm seas to thermal winds and big swells, as they battle it out for the win and precious series points. Current series frontrunners SAP Extreme Sailing Team arrived fresh off the back of a second-place finish at the GC32 World Championship in Riva del Garda, which saw them top the Extreme Sailing Series leaderboard. They'll be looking to extend their overall lead here at Act 3 in Barcelona.
Yeah, it's very early in the season, but we're happy to be in the lead. It's a long season, so we still need to push very hard, and every point is counting. So it's full on here in Barcelona. We're planning to push as hard as we can to climb up on the leaderboard and keep the top position.
Last year's Barcelona Act winners Oman Air are keen to put in a repeat performance this week, and skipper Phil Robertson is hungry for victory. Despite Alingi's brilliant start to the season in Muscat, Oman, the Swiss America's Cup winning squad toppled off the top spot last month at the GC32 World Championship. They plan to climb the ranks again in Barcelona.
Yeah, here in Barcelona it's great because the city is nice and people are really open, and it's really different from Switzerland. And today it looks like a perfect sea breeze, so it's going to be a really good day out on the water.
Led by a duo of double Olympic gold medalists, Austrian crew Red Bull Sailing Team are also a hot tip for a Barcelona win, having finished second in the act last year, and are confident they can outperform the fleet once again. Meanwhile, British team Ineos Rebels UK have brought British Olympian and the series' most successful skipper Lee McMillan on board as helm for 2018.
Yeah, Barcelona is a fantastic venue. I used to race here in the Tornado many years ago. We had some of the Olympic regattas here, and it's always really testing conditions. You get those sea states there, the swells can really kick up.
Team Mexico line up with skipper Eric Brockman, whilst the regulars on the circuit are joined by local team Spanish Impulse, a crew of Olympic hopefuls and sailors with Extreme Sailing Series experience from past campaigns, who plan to take their home waters by storm. The first day of Act 3 did not disappoint, with big breeze from the word go. Red Bull Sailing Team shot straight into the limelight, clocking 5 podium finishes over the course of the first day. Series leaders SAP Extreme Sailing Team also showed form, finishing the day in second, whilst Alingi made a late comeback after being forced to retire from race 3, taking a bullet in the 5th race of the day, climbing up to 3rd on the day 1 podium. With day 2 came déjà vu, as Red Bull Sailing Team and Oman Air locked horns in the battle for the second day win. The same 2 teams fighting for first in last year's Barcelona Act. However, 2 consecutive OCS starts, meaning the team crossed the start line early, cost the Austrian squad, allowing Oman Air to take the top spot. Consistent sailing from Alingi saw the Swiss finish the day in second, just 1 point behind Phil Robertson's team. Meanwhile, home team Spanish Impulse gave the crowds plenty to cheer about. Podium finishes in both the first and last races of the day saw the wildcard entry finish day 2 of Act 3 on a high. Racing alongside the GC32s, the 8-strong fleet of Flying Phantoms also battled it out on the water in Barcelona. Idreva Zephyr Foiling led after day 1, but the current series leaders, Team France Jeune, reclaimed top spot on day 2. The French foiling superstars aiming to make it a hat-trick here in Barcelona, following act wins in Muscat, Oman and Quiberon Bay, France.
Hi, I'm Jordy Booth from Red Bull Sailing Team, and this is the Flying Phantom. The Phantom is like a scaled down version of the GC32, and it's also got 3 sails, starting with the main sail as the biggest sail. Then we've got a jib sail in front of the main sail, and finally the Jenica sail used for downwind. So here we got a trapeze system, which is a really cool feature the GC32 doesn't have. And this is used to generate more power, more riding moment. It's used like this, so people can hang off the side of the boat and just produce more power overall. This is a steering system. It's pretty similar to the GC32 system. The main part is the rudder blade. Then we have the rudder foil. And finally we have a tiller connector, which connects both rudders. So this is the fun part of the boat. It's a carbon fiber foil, which allows us to really fly above the water. It moves up and down, and as well, it does move forward and backwards. It's a high-performance boat. It's very technical, but it's great fun to sail.
Day 3 and perfect conditions once again promise more high-octane sailing in the GC32 class. We join the action in race 18.
Almost looks like some of these boats are actually going to make the start of the pit. We'll see Red Bull bring the bow down now. Final few seconds. Team Mexico there, tracking across in the centre of the line. Now finally, the small dive down as Team Mexico fire off the end. SAP right up on the right-hand side, I think, owning that start. Alinghi just separated off Ineos Rebels Team UK, heading off to the right.
5 boats on port tack in that one, Shorzy. It's definitely fair to say that these guys have rethought their starting tactics. SAP, again though, with the pick of the bunch, starting up at the committee boat in that right-hand wind shift, they gained a lot of advantage off that slingshot.
Whichever way you look at it, only one boat's going to come out in front here. SAP just keeping that separation, that really lying at the core of their position. Let's see if it works out. Alinghi
goes back to what I was saying about keeping your nose clean, and they've definitely done that thus far in this race. Alinghi just tacking over on the exclusion zone.
And Alinghi have Red Bull tack right underneath their line, and that was always going to happen. Alinghi were not going to come out of that.
No, exactly.
In
and
front.
big duck there from Oman here.
Now let's see, SAP managing to make the crosses.
This is another great opportunity for SAP to set themselves up with the fleet. Oh, SAP ducking behind both boats, so big right-hand wind shift again. We see just how powerful this right-hand side is. The good news for SAP, though, is with that duck, they get out to that right-hand side of the racecourse.
SAP certainly have the right now, and we've seen that pay in the upper right-hand side, but it's the same teams fighting it out at the top. SAP Extreme, Alinghi.
Oh, wow!
Red Bull looking for the duck on Oman Air and just not getting the bow down. Well, those boats now off on that left, and I'm sure the safety team's breaking in.
Just about to go around the top mark here is Alinghi, still leading this race, of showing a 60-metre lead over SAP.
They've broken away.
One thing you'll see Alinghi do quite often is they'll go around that top mark and deploy quite late, Shorzy. So they go around, sail on the 2 sails that they have. They actually deployed quite early.
Yeah, they did. They heard you, Chris. They heard you. They heard you and thought, well, let's get that Jenica deployed real quick to show up Chris. Still.
See if SAP does it. They usually go around the top mark and wait till the apparent wind goes a long way forward, so that when they deploy, like right now, you see the clue of the Jenica getting sucked back in behind the main rather than getting blown outboard.
Manu Sarum-Fegets there. Real masterclass around the course, but Nicolas Charbonnier, the tactician there, really, you know, locking in, making the right decisions time and again, and it pays off, and they are through the finish there to take race 18 here in Barcelona.
And again, no surprises. The theme of the day, SAP and Alinghi dogging it out for that top spot, with the other seeming like they're always coming in second. It is SAP Extreme coming across the finish line in second place.
In what proved to be a costly incident for Red Bull's sailing team, the Austrians tried to manoeuvre behind the Omani team, but failed to clear their competitor. No injuries were sustained, and the Omani team returned to shore to effect repairs to their boat, whilst the Austrians continued with the day's racing. Red Bull sailing team were disqualified from race 18. And Phil Robertson and crew were awarded a redress and average points for 3 races in which they were unable to compete. Swiss-flagged Alinghi went on to take another 3 bullets, moving into first on the Act 3 leaderboard after a dominant performance, whilst SAP Extreme Sailing Team jumped into second. Just behind them, Oman Air and Red Bull Sailing Team finished the day tied on points. Meanwhile, in the Flying Phantom series, Team Franche extended their lead over the fleet, clocking wins in every single race of the day, ranking them 11 points ahead of second place Idreva Zephyr-Foiling. We'll be back after the break for the decisive final day of Act 3 of the 2018 Extreme Sailing Series here in Barcelona, Spain. Don't go away. Welcome back to Barcelona, Spain for Act 3 of the 2018 Extreme Sailing Series. For local team Spanish Impulse, competing in the Extreme Sailing Series on home waters is a dream come true.
I was born in Germany, but I moved here when I was 3 years old, so I was raised in Barcelona. Actually, I consider myself more a Spaniard than a German. Having this big city, beautiful city, close to the sea, is what gave me the motivation and the will to push the sailing on the water.
It's always a pleasure and an honor to represent your country in your country. The history that this city has with sailing, having had the Olympics in '92, it's a very nice place to be in. We feel all the support from the people, and it's so good to have all the racing close to shore so everybody can see all the action.
I remember watching the live streaming of the Extreme Sailing Series, and I was thinking, wow, it's amazing, I want to be there one day. And last year we got the opportunity with the Spanish Impulse to get into the Act in Barcelona and sail the GC32s against all these professional teams. I have to say it's just a continuous learning period where you improve a bit day by day and try to learn as much as you can from all the professional athletes that compete on the other boats. Last year we almost managed to win a race. This year we already made 2 third places, which motivated us a lot. So for the upcoming days we hope to get a few good races in and keep improving.
My dream for the future and my main goal nowadays is to win an Olympic medal at Tokyo 2020, and also keep going with Spanish Impulse and do this kind of events and keep improving as a sailor.
Spanish Impulse now, we want to create a project which doesn't only focus on the sports development of the athlete, but also on the personal. So we want to develop persons who are good sportsmen, but also because of being in the project, become better persons and just dream big and stay humble.
Back to the action on the water, and Swiss team Alinghi lead the pack ahead of current series leaders SAP Extreme Sailing Team after a dominant performance on day 3. Red Bull Sailing Team and Oman Air sit level on points just behind them, with Ineos Rebels UK ranked 5th in the Act. Spanish Impulse and Team Mexico have their work cut out as the crews ready themselves for the final decisive day of racing here in Barcelona. SAP Extreme Sailing Team took the first bullet of the day in race 21, closing the gap on leaders Alinghi to just 6 points. With the competition for the Act 3 win hotting up, we join the action in race 22.
Oman Air, Spanish Impulse leading the fleet over to the left, so the split again. Team Mexico in the centre of the course, perhaps also not in particularly good position.
Wildcard Spanish Impulse team coming out of the left-hand side and leading this race. Expect to see them tack here and go around this mark.
What a moment for that Spanish Impulse team on home shores here in Catalonia. And they are around. Look at that, SAP have Oman Air tack right inside. Oman Air right inside the line of SAP, and they're in big traffic. I wonder where Alinghi are.
SAP's done a nice job to get back into the mix, but it is Alinghi jumping out into front, as we see here on the SAP analytics.
Well, that is a move. That is a 5th to 1st move from Alinghi. We saw SAP really fight back to push Alinghi back in the first race. Well, this is how this championship winning team responds. Alinghi leading into gate number 2.
Looking like Alinghi coming out of that right-hand side, and they actually filled up that front Jenica, which shows that the pressure on that side of the racecourse looks like it's pretty good, but it is Spanish Impulse who have come right back into the mix here. Alinghi tacking around that top mark.
And that's interesting. I think that's to avoid the traffic of Spanish Impulse.
Yeah, avoid the traffic and set themselves up for the bottom, only having to do one jibe and coming on starboard.
Now SAP for me have to carry on here, track across to that opposite mark and then go the other way down the run, see what they can make happen. It's what we're seeing happen them now. They're going Jenica out early, going for a little bit more of a reach, and they are piling down the left-hand side of the racecourse. Now the race is on, just the final leg to the finish here. Alinghi have broken for the right with Spanish Impulse. SAP breaking for the left. SAP in better pressure on the left-hand side of the racecourse now, coming out of their jibe, popping back up onto the foils. Bring their bow down now. They still have a small advantage on board the Swiss boats, but to my eye, SAP looks stronger than the graphics are showing, so expect to see that distance close. And I think Alinghi might just be able to get across the front. It's going to be close. The finish right underneath the W Hotel here in Barcelona. SAP looking for the inside. Can they get in? Absolutely, inches separating the two teams as SAP turn down. Alinghi barreling on the line, and it is very close, but Alinghi just taking it by just a metre into the finish. Very close finish here between Ineos Rebels UK and Oman Air diving in on the inside line. Ineos Rebels are master of the finish, but this time Oman Air spearing their bow down just across the line ahead of Ineos Rebels UK.
A 6th place finish in race 23 saw Danish-flagged SAP Extreme Sailing Team fall further off the pace of leaders Alinghi, with work to do to stay in contention. Meanwhile, after their boat was taken out of action on day 3, the Omani team came back fighting on the final day of the event. Victory in race 23 saw them close the gap on the top 2. We join the action in race 24.
They're looking early, bringing their bow down. SAP at the centre of the line, fighting to stay behind. Still a full 5 seconds. Alinghi coming in at the windward end of the line. They're most lit up in flames and firing down. SAP over the line. So disaster striking the Danish team. They're bringing their bow down. Mexico, they're having to dodge a port tacker. SAP now diving down, circling down. Morgan Larsson at the helm, looking to try and get SAP back. They're going down and through the jibe. Over on the end, Ineos Rebels UK look to be caught up a little bit on the pin. They've broken away now, but Alinghi lit up in flames, firing off the right-hand end of the line. Red Bull also with a great start, breaking off to the right. They're the 2 lead boats. Well, coming on board with Red Bull as we turn up and through the tack. That windward board flying up on the windward side, and the Jenica now breaking out. The tack from Oman Air, they will be redeploying that Jenica.
Phil, with a really good performance so far today.
Look at that, great ley line, just working a tiny bit of depth to make it around the left-hand gate as you look downwind. Around they come, heading off to the right.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Oman Air looking strong. Now coming down a much closer cross here. Ineos Rebels UK and Team Alinghi coming close together. Ineos Rebels UK have the right of way, they have the starboard tack, and they are across the line of Alinghi. Now let's see, where are they going to choose to round? Lee McMillan at the helm of Ineos Rebels UK, rounding that left-hand mark. Alinghi jibing, looks like they're looking to follow.
So Oman Air rounding the top gate in first. Ineos Rebel, as expected, tacking and going around the opposite gate, so bit of a split for the front 2 here.
Well, Oman Air still out in front, but a massive split between these 2, and, you know, as we called it, perhaps a little bit more speed on board the Rebels. Coming down towards the bottom, we're at the maximum extension, both boats looking for their jibes. Oman Air down and through over on the right-hand side. But I think the Brits now just picking up a little vein of pressure, starting to ride it down. Now they had a terrible jibe, but it didn't matter. They got that strategy absolutely bang on for that final run.
We've got to keep on doing what we're doing. The guys did a great job on board, and keep on fighting, and we'll see how we get on.
Alinghi continued to hold its rivals at bay with yet another bullet in race 25, their 12th of the regatta so far. With the Act 3 victory all but in the bag, the Swiss had the series lead in their sights in the final double point scoring race.
Alinghi really up to speed in the centre of the racetrack. Ineos Rebels UK, well, they're on port as well. And they're a bit of a match race between Alinghi and SAP in the middle of the line. Alinghi dialing up SAP. They're right in the middle of the course there.
Protest flag being waved on board Alinghi.
And there a penalty. It is all to play for in the middle. The penalty flag is up. I think that's been pointed at SAP.
SAP has picked up a penalty. As for the rest of the starters, it's all clear. So, wow, Alinghi the aggressor, you'd think clear ahead on the scoreboard that they'd just be trying to keep their nose clean, but they came out, took the gloves off and had a swing there at SAP Extreme, who have got a penalty.
Alinghi came in there on starboard. They dialed them up. You know, if we look at the skippers of those two boats, you know, you'd have thought that it might have been the match racing weight of expertise would have been with the British and the Danish boats, but Alinghi came in on starboard, had the right of way. They caught those two boats napping, and you know, those two boats who are in contention for the overall podium are now right at the back.
It's the local wildcard team, Spanish Impulse, though, trying to cement their authority, see if they can get that race, that much desired race win. Coming out of the left-hand side at the moment, on our graphics we see they are the current race leaders.
The Spanish Catalonian team coming around and leading around this double points race.
I do hope for all of our sakes that these boys can hold on to that top position, because the shore would get lit on absolute fire with the spectators here, the local heroes, if they could get that race win.
I mean, you can't write this, Chris. You know, we've got
the last
in Spain,
race
in Barcelona, in the final race of this Act 3 of the Extreme Sailing Series, the local wildcard leading as we come down to this bottom mark. We've got, what, a podium change as we come down. We've got a champion match racing out the second boat to open up the race. You know, and that is the point of these double counting races, to engage and really encourage that, like, strategic match racing, engaged, aggressive sailing. We've seen it at the Olympics. We're seeing it here at the Extreme Sailing Series. It is alive right here, and the boats are coming back together. Down and through the line, Spanish Impulse take the applause of the crowd, and their arms go aloft. What a moment for this young sailing team, making their mark in this world-class racing series all around the world, but in that final race, when it counted, coming through to take the win in the final race.
It's going to be tight coming to the finish here. You see Ineos Rebels UK going to a jibe. Alinghi's going to roll over the top, though.
But are they? It's going to be close.
Does Ineos Rebels UK have enough momentum to just coast across the finish line? They've got the inside.
So close. And a podium. Well, Ineos Rebels UK's position at stake, and it is Alinghi, our champions here at Act 3. Here in Barcelona on the 2018 Extreme Sailing Series, while they roll through into 4th position.
What a phenomenal effort from the Swiss team. They sailed so flawlessly the last few days. Arnaud Sarafagis and the rest of his team doing just showing everyone how important consistency is, and it's a real masterclass of a performance.
Yeah, it's really nice to win here in Barcelona after the Garda that we were finishing 4th, but we're really happy to win here, and it's nice because last year we were not so good here, so it's really nice to end up with a win here.
After 4 days of exceptional racing, 3-time Extreme Sailing Series champions Alinghi took their 2nd Act win of the 2018 season here in Barcelona. Team Oman Air flew through the fleet on day 4 to climb back up the ranks and steal 2nd place from SAP Extreme Sailing Team in the Act's final race. Despite their disappointment, SAP Extreme Sailing Team won the Zyke Speed Machine Trophy for reaching the Act's top speed of 27 knots, over 31 miles per hour, an insight provided by SAP. Alinghi now sits tied on 33 points with SAP Extreme Sailing Team at the top of the series leaderboard. The two teams locked in battle for the top spot that began at Act 1 Muscat. Oman Air is now just 1 point behind in 3rd overall. In the Flying Phantom Series, Team France Jeunes sailed their second consecutive day of straight race wins to take the ACT victory and have succeeded in making it a hat-trick of wins to lead the 2018 series standings. Both fleets will reconvene their on-the-water battles in Cascais, Portugal for Act 4 of the 2018 Extreme Sailing Series from 5th to the 8th of July. Expect big breeze and big competition.